How difficult is this strat? It's pretty high difficulty. Like, if you don't have high damage, you're literally just gonna lag out on these Alva temples. Hey guys, today I want to make a video going over the Alva Beyond currency strat. The reason why I'm making this video is that I feel like I vastly improved this strat from what was shown from another person. The first person who I know showed this strat was this person, Bollock, but you can definitely optimize it a lot more than he did, which is what I did, which is what I want to share. First of all, what is this strat? Essentially, this strat is revolving around these Scarabs right here, Incursion Scarab Champion, where you're spawning a bunch of magic mobs in your incursions, and then you turn those magic mobs into rares with the evolution scarab. And then those rares summon beyond mobs with the beyond scarab invasion. That's the basics of the strat, and you shop by a lot of raw currency. I'll go over my data in a second. Also this full notepad. But I did 2 10 map tests. I've also done this strat for like dozens and dozens of maps by now, but these are just what I recorded. So in the first 10 map test, 1 hour duration pretty much, we got 49 divines and revenue. I'll go over the cost in a second. In the second 10 map test, we got 44 divines and revenue. So do keep in mind that I was full clearing these maps and picking up every single chaos orb, which is definitely not optimal, just to try to get a raw chaos count to see how much raw chaos I'm getting per map, which is really good to do if you're trying to judge how good your raw currency strat is by counting every single chaos orb that drops. Okay, you can see in only 10 maps, we dropped 649 raw chaos, which is a big improvement over the original strat. This is a ton of raw chaos, 13 raw divines, 13 boxes, 18 exalts. As you see in this one, we got unlucky in divines and got lucky in exalts, or unlucky in divines, and it should be like more split. In the first strat though is opposite, where we got 18 raw divines and 11 raw exalts. So yeah, divines and exalts are a 1-to-1 drop rate, so more or less you should just add them up and split them in half if you just want to count how much currency you should be making. So let's go over the cost real quick. So the cost per map at the time recording, it's 75C in currency delirium orbs, 26C in scarabs, and 55C per tier 60.5 Jungle Valley. This is what I paid for. Jungle Valley is definitely the best map for this. Dunes is also pretty okay, but Dunes is longer per map. The next thing about Jungle Valley and why it's probably the best is because you can start killing monsters right away. You don't need to boss rush, and you just get, the best Eldritch Altars, because if you do a map that has a boss, essentially you'll get boss altars, and boss altars are bad. You just want player altars. In total, this is 156 chaos per map, or 0.7 divines at the time of this recording. So keep that in mind if prices do go up. So our revenue in 20 maps, if you combine both tests, 10 maps with a 1 Wisp Scarab and 10 maps were worth 1 Wisp Scarab, which I'll go over in a second. The profit after cost is 80 divines or 40 divines per hour. It's a 4 divines profit per map. And once again, I was picking up every single chaos orb, and I was 100% full clearing, trying to get an accurate chaos count to see which strat was better, and to also see how good the strat really is, because counting raw chaos is how you want to judge your raw currency strats. Keep in mind, like I said, this wasted a lot of time, and it's definitely not optimal. You probably want to skip the single chaos orbs. I think something like 12 to 13 maps an hour is pretty realistic on a build like mine. So if you do this strat properly, and you can do 13 maps an hour, you're looking at over 50 divines profit per an hour, which is exceptionally good. That's extremely good. If you're slower, your build's not as good, not like a multi-mirror build, you can only do 8 maps an hour, which I think is pretty realistic, 7 to 8 minutes per single map. You're looking at 32 divines per an hour in profit. This is still really good, and I feel like this should be realistic for anyone watching, as long as your build can handle these maps, because it is quite PC intensive. Note, in my 20 maps, I got 0 of my scryed diff cards, so I feel like this profit an hour should actually be higher. And this also does not count any lock or mirror drop chance. It also does not count any unique drops or dust value. And you actually do drop quite a bit of uniques in this strategy, because you're killing so many monsters a map. You're killing like 10,000 monsters a map. It is quite insane. I already dropped multiple tier 0s while doing this strat, so you can definitely expect a mage blood, probably like every 20 to 30 hours or so. That is like how good this strat is. If you did want to min-max for it, I would try to aim for at least 100% rarity. Overall, this is easily a top solo strat at the moment. I think it actually beats Abyss if you have the character and PC to handle it. If not, then Abyss will be better, of course. You also need an extremely fast build. I do think Kinetic Blast is probably the best build for this. Although keep in mind, Abyss is a lot easier to run. And also, like I said, this strat can be very harsh on your PC. If you don't have a lot of damage, then you are going to lag. The more damage you have, the less lag you do end up getting. Explode also seems to lag you in these type of maps. So let me quickly go over the strat real quick before continuing. So essentially, like I said, we're doing tier 16.5 Jungle Valley. I'm rolling for at minimum 120% more currency. You can be more harsh on your rolls if you want, but I also want a good mix of monster pack size and quant. Like I won't do a map that's below 100% quant. I won't do a monster pack size map that's like 30% or 33% or lower. You really do want all three to be a decent chunk. So monster pack size, quant, and more currency. I'm just using regular chisels, and the Scarabs are using its evolution shrine, evasion, 2 champions, and then a Wisp or risk, which I will go over in a second. On Mat Device, we are using domination, and the reason why we're using domination is for the quant altar, which we get from our atlas tree, which is from all that glitters. This gives you 33% quant if you have the goal plus all the shrine nodes, and 33% quant is quite impactful, which is why we're going for this. Yeah, as for the atlas tree, it's pretty much like, it looks like the other ones. You're taking Beyond, you're taking Settlers. The reason why I take Settlers is for Bismuth. Bismuth is very, very strong. Gives additional modifiers to rares and magic monsters, which is bonus loot. Then, of course, you're taking all the Alva nodes with shrines as well, because, yeah, you do want as many shrines as possible. The only thing I would like to change here is probably get these last 2 points in Elder's Pack Size. I think Elder's Pack Size is extremely strong in the strat. Because you're doing the 4 Alvas last, that means you're getting the full value out of all of your altars. So yeah, I do think these last 2 points is probably more valuable than maybe like these memory influence points. You don't drop that many maps anyway. So yeah, I do think this is more or less an optimal tree. I might swap out these 2 points though for these 2 Elder's Pack Size. Once again, I will have this tree link down below and all the Scarabs as well. There's also one extra thing you could do. You could also throw in a Cardo Scarab of escalation on like these high hybrid maps that have more maps and more currency. This will help you self-sustain your dunes as well. I don't do this. I just buy my dunes just for maximum raw currency. But that is a option you can do. So to go on the topic real quick of Wisp versus Risk. So Wisp does seem to show slightly higher raw currency gains. It was around 10% or more so raw currency, but this was a pretty low sample size. You know, it's 10 maps versus 10 maps. The upside of Risk is that you vastly improve your Wildwood maps. The reason why is that Wisp Scarab actually hurts your Wildwoods, as Wisp monsters cannot be Wisps again. So if you enter a map with a Wisp Scarab and it whips like half the monsters, then if you enter a Wildwood, half those monsters can't be whipped again. So there is a big upside of Risk where you will have way higher tier maps with really good Wildwoods, but Wisp might be a little bit more consistent. Risk is probably also better if you can easily run all map mods. Otherwise, I would just stick to Wisp Scarab. Nemesis is actually the worst option out of the 3, but it's also the easiest, especially if you're a Hunter build, because you'll instantly get 90 Hunter stacks in these Alva temples. The reason why Nemesis is bad is because the evolution of rare monsters essentially drop like no loot. This is something I figured out back in Settlers League, but yeah, essentially the evolution monsters, the ones that get upgraded from magic to rare, just drop no loot. So adding like additional modifiers onto them with Nemesis Scarab doesn't really improve their loot at all. It's better to try to maximize your gains from the Beyond monsters and the magic monsters. This is where Wisp and Risk come in hand. Domination on Mat Device also seems better than Settlers. You can still proc Bismuth without having Settlers on Mat Device. And a big reason is also the speed gain. If you get an Acceleration Shrine to start a map, you're easily saving 1 minute to maybe 2 minutes in that map. So it does, save you a lot of time if you get those Acceleration Shrines, and using Domination on Mat Device will get you more Acceleration Shrines. But also the big reason is the Quant Altar. It gives you 32% Quant, which is roughly 23 to 25% more raw items dropped. This does include currency. Gold is not mandatory, but highly recommended. If you can't use gold, then you want to use an amulet called Solstice Vigil. This will also increase your shrine buff duration. The strat is a lot less lucrative if you can't use gold or Solstice Vigil. You would probably have to drop your Wisp or Risk Scare for an extra evolution shrine, but I think at that point other strats are probably better, but you certainly can do it if you want. Keep in mind, Blunderbore is more or less useless for this strat because Evolution Scarab does not scale with Shrine Effect. It's a static 10% and it cannot be scaled. So stuff like Blunderbore is useless. The effect on the goal also does not work for this. You're using the goal because you get 50% increased duration, and you want that duration because how you clear the maps, essentially, you full clear, click on every single altar, then you click your evolution shrine and do all 4 Alvas. You want to make sure you have that evolution buff for all 4 Alvas. It's very, very important. The loot difference is massive if you don't have that evolution shrine buff on you. And in terms of map rule, and it is only 1 map mod you want to avoid, or maybe 2, but it is just the buffs on players expire faster. That makes your shrine expire faster. That means the evolution shrine will go down immediately. So avoid that map mod. I also avoid no damage 3 seconds out of 10 seconds, as that drastically slows down your maps. For me, those are the only 2 mods I avoid, and then the rest depends on your build. But yeah, that's about it. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below. But yeah, this is easily one of the strongest raw currency solo strats in the game. It is very, very strong. I would give it a try if you have the build and PC to try it out. It is extremely cheap, at least at the moment. These Scarabs are very inexpensive. The only thing that really costs money is the Delirium Wars, which is your choice if you want to do. I do think it's worth it because you do get like 13 to 15 rewards, and that is quite high. And the map itself, you don't self-sustain, so you have to buy these maps. If Jungle Valley is too expensive, then run Dunes. Dunes is also quite strong. But yeah, that's about it.